Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Solidity Insurance Group team call. My name is Marisa Maggio, and I'm super excited to be on with a very special guest, a woman that when I came into this industry, I truly looked to and have continued to look to throughout my time with Family First Life. So we have Integrity Partner, Hall of Fame producer, Hall of Fame agency, many times over, Miss Alondra Crenshaw on with us today. Alondra, how are you doing?
Hi guys, I'm super excited to be on and thank you so much for the introduction. I'm just forever indebted to FFL, and I say this from the top of my lungs. So anytime like I have the ability to help any way, the way when I first came in and how the people taught us everything that we've known. I mean, we're all just like sponges of a whole bunch of people, and that's what I love about here is like everybody wants everybody to win. And that's what I love about this environment.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for taking the time to be on with us today. And it just goes to show you're still paying it forward, Alondra. So we appreciate you. For those people out there that maybe haven't had a chance to hear from you, if you don't mind, just really quick background, kind of what you were doing before the insurance industry, what got you into the insurance industry, and why Family First Life.
Yeah, so I've been now with at Family First Life now for about 5 years. So I started when maybe actually might be 6 years. I'm going to be 6 years this year because I was like 20 at the time when I got started. So I was very, very young. I was going to school. I'm first generation Hispanic, so I was the only one in my whole family that was like going to school, and everybody was like, go be your nurse. And I was dedicated to being a nurse. And I had stumbled across insurance. My esthetician was like, hey, like, there's this company that you should go join. And I ended up getting my license through one of those companies that you pay to work there and you work the friends and family thing. I got my license because I was like, hey, this is something that I'm going to be working in a field that I'm going to be able to be in a position to help people. I don't care so much about helping my friends and family. I want to be able to help, patients, clients, family members that I'm going to meet in the hospital. That was my thinking of dealing with the issues about it. Once I was in it, guys, I was like, okay, I am wasting way too much time. I'm not making money, and this is uncomfortable. I'm not going to use my social media to recruit because I'm not making money. So I found friend of a friend of a friend, how it is. I found Family First Life. When I heard about it, I thought it was the craziest thing that we start off at a comp that wasn't even available where I was at. And they had leads, they had different way of getting business, and you can meet all these people all over the country. I was like, okay, it seems like a no-brainer to me. So I was like, I have nothing to lose. I don't have to pay anything. I already have my insurance and a license that I'm not really using. So why not? And I went all in, guys, and I literally was like a sponge because but I wasn't so quick to get going. Like it took me 9 months to kind of get the steam rolling. Like it took me a minute. I was not somebody that just came out the gates and just started selling a bunch because I mean, I was super young. I had a lot of people in my corner that were telling me I was crazy. I was considering completely leaving nursing school after I was just waiting and waiting to get in. And my family was like, what do you mean you're not going to go to school? So it was just a lot of adversity of outside people that I had going on that was preventing me from going all in. Because when I would work, guys, like me and Josh would work together. We would buy leads once a month, and like we'd do great. Like we'd sell, like we protect 8 families in a month. And I'm like, okay, we're doing this like part-time where we're still working at the restaurant. We're still going to school. Like we had a lot of things going on. And that was enough for like, that like it was just that status. I'm like, what if I went all in? Like, what if I went all in? So I made a decision one day, me and Josh were like, okay, we can't keep doing this. Like, why don't we actually like try going full time? Like everybody around us, everywhere we go on social media, like everybody's winning at a really high clip. Like, not that I want to toot my own horn, but I don't think they're any more special than I am. Like there's like something that they're doing that I'm not doing. So I went up and I had like an upline that wasn't really active in the business. Like they were kind of like here, but not really here. They weren't selling. So I was like, okay, I don't want to be like you. Okay, who's next? I don't want to be like you. Okay, I want to be like you. So for me, that was Andrew Taylor. And I remember I reached out to Andrew and I said, hey, I want to sell at a high level. I want to be full time. This is what I want to do. Like I want to bet on myself. I'm going to give myself 90 days. Like I'm going to give this 3 months before I have to apply again to get into the nursing program. Like this is a make it or break it because I'm about to talk to my family that I'm going to put everything on hold for this. So it has to work. And that's like, so I need you to give it to me. Like, give me everything that I need to know. And I remember I talked to Andrew, and if you know Andrew, he is very like, he's just so monotone, like so straightforward. So I remember we drove up on a Saturday, 4 hours away from my house, just to meet with Andrew in person because I wanted to make it feel real for me. And I remember I sat with him and I'm like, okay, this is what I'm currently doing. What am I doing wrong? And he goes, well, first of all, you're buying leads once a month and you're working the same leads a whole month. Like that's your mistake. You're not buying enough leads because once you get into the home, you do pretty good because you guys are closing. And he goes, so if you guys each went and bought your leads twice a week, you had fresh leads, you hit your 25 appointments, 25 to 30 appointments, watch what's going to happen. I said, okay, that's it? I'm like, no. There's something, I'm missing something. Guys, I remember I was like, okay, I'm going to do as you say. And I did that in my first month. I did over 20 families that month. Josh did over 20 families. And then from there, it was like, hello. It was like, I realized everything I wasn't doing. I just wasn't having enough activity for me to be able to have success. And from there, guys, it was like, first 9 months were terrible. After the 9 months were amazing because I was like, Steve Giordano isn't anything more special than I am. He's just booking way more appointments than I am. He spends a lot more money than I am. And once I saw like the more money you put into this business, the more you work, like you're going to get paid tenfold. And it just kind of became very fun for us. And it was just like, how much more can we sell every single month? And it really just completely changed our whole perspective. My entire life is thanks to that.
Absolutely. And Alondra, thank you because you gave so much there in like such a little like span of time, but you really just gave like your full story, which I think is awesome, you know? And I love how you talked about like, it's always like a friend of a friend. Like you start with your esthetician, introduced you kind of to a practice company, so to say. Then friend of a friend was like, hey, you should, you know, maybe jump over here because it looks like it might be a better opportunity, you know, for you. And you're like, let me take a look. Guys, Alondra's eyes were not closed. She was like, okay, I can see this is the vehicle. Once you got in it, you were like, oh, I can do this part-time sometimes and we can still make some money. But then you were like, what if I went all in, right? Like, what if me, you know, you and Josh, what if you guys went all in and you put your all into it? And it seems like from there, you really propelled, right? You had that intentional conversation, like, be clear. Alondra didn't just call Andrew and be like, hey, Andrew, like, I think I want to do this. No, she had a definitive goal of what she wanted to get done, called Andrew and was like, I'm right here. What do I have to do to get over here? Right. And he gave you those steps, like you said, real monotone, but he led, God, and directed you guys to where you had to go. And I think that that's huge, just to give not credit necessarily, but give a point of reference of, hey, there's going to be a time where you need a mentor, no matter how great you think you are. Or if you're 20 years old, you know what I mean? It goes both ways, guys. Like you can be 40 on this call and know nothing about the insurance industry. Your mentor might be 35. Like that's okay. Like that's good. That's normal. Just go with somebody. Like you said, I didn't like what this person was doing. I didn't like what I wanted to be where Andrew was at. So I reached out to Andrew. So I love that. Also talking about how your friends and your family weren't necessarily fully supportive of the opportunity in the beginning. And I understand that they're excited for you. They're like, you know, you're the first one that's going to go and become a nurse and be in college. And that's exciting. But Alondra, is it fair to say it's like way more exciting now to be like, hey, this is what I did?
Oh yeah, I messed up. I mean, it's an ongoing thing with my family. It's like I messed it up for every single one of them. Like now every single one of my siblings has either got an insurance, is headed towards there. Like all mine are younger. So it's funny. The other day I was talking to my little brother and he's like, you messed it up for me. Like I was going to go to school and now I like think way more. I want way more. And like now I want to do that. So it's just exciting to see how like I didn't even think about the down, like how it involves like my family and just my family's house entire perspective. Everything's just completely changed because it's like, wow, like this little license like can do so much.
Absolutely. I love how you brought that up. Like, you know, like your brother saying to you, like almost like, hey, like I can see bigger because of you. Like that's kind of what I just took from what you said, right? And I think that that's really important. You know, growing through this business is inevitable, right? Like you're not the same Alondra that you were 6 years ago. Is that fair to say?
Very much so, yes.
You know, so what are some of maybe like the habits, lifestyle, anything that you can really think of that you knew you had to change when you were ready to say, I'm going all in? Like, what are some things that changed for you and you feel like have led you to be the person you are today?
Yeah, well, honestly, it was really just like a self-reflection. And I think, and I will say, like, and I've said this from day one, this business is super easy. The hardest part is ourselves, our mindset, because that is literally what will make or break you in this business. And like, I'll share just like a little bit, because me and Josh were going through that, where we're both, we never were like, one of us stay behind, one makes the phone calls. No, we were both like, we are better, really good producers, so we can hire help for that. So for us, we were always going out, and like Josh had just different struggles. Like for him, it was so easy to like a bad day be like, okay, like this is like, I can't do this. Like I want to quit. And he would always call me, and I'm like, dude, don't call me, because I'm always going to put it back to perspective. Like, what else would you be doing? What else? Like, tell me, where are you going to go that, yeah, you have a bad day, but where in a day can you make $5,000, $10,000 off of like a random full day of just helping families? And it was always just like perspective. So for me, and I think having that helped him see like, okay, yeah, you're right. Like, yeah, we are right. And that was just an example of like, it's so easy that if you go and vent to other people, you have to be so careful who you vent to, because if I was a negative person, I could have been like, yeah, you're right. How did you not make any sales today? You just wasted a whole day. Go find a new job, like go find a new career. But because I understand the business, I'm seeing how it works. I was able to push him when he needed that push. Where I know a lot of people in this business have fallen off, not because of themselves, but because of the people around them that make them doubt the system, doubt how much it works. And I think that's what just helped both of us, is like, we were always so good. It's like, okay, what else could we be doing? Do we want to go back to what our plan B was? Okay, no. So there was no bad day ever that we ever had here, because it was just like, we were so busy. And that's, I think, what people get so worked up about, is because you start second guessing this business when you don't have enough leads, you don't have enough people to call, enough people to see, and your schedule is light. That is when your mind starts running. So me knowing that, how I am, because I am a very emotional person, and I can wear like, I would kind of take it to heart when I wouldn't close. Like I was just riding the waves. But what helped me was just like, even like when I started full time, guys, I was like, I had to have a reflection and be like, I would look at my calendar and I'm like, well, no wonder you're not having success. Like you're barely getting on the phones at like 10 in the morning. You're doing everything else. And then like you're treating this like a hobby. So it's like, how do you expect it to pay you full time? I was like prioritizing going to the gym super late. Whenever I would wake up, I would go to bed super late. Like I was just all over the place. I was not disciplined with my entire life. I just thought first, oh, I'm a business owner. Like I can run this business whenever I want. I can go, if my friends invite me to lunch, I can go to lunch. I can go to every family event. Like I don't dare take work Saturdays and Sundays. Like that was my mindset when I first started, because that's what I thought. Very quickly, I realized the people that are having high success, they're not doing that right away. It's a grind for a couple of years, and you have to be okay with that. So I had to really just reflect and look at my schedule and really plan out what time I'm going to bed, what time I'm going to get my workout in. I would meal prep on the weekends to make sure I already had my food. So I wasn't like thinking about, oh my God, I got to go out of my way for my food. And then I was just appointment on the hour. Like there was no room for error. And then I would stack like on top of my appointments. Like I would have my list of appointments, and then I would have like for the people who haven't answered, like the leads that I had bought for the week, if I couldn't get a hold of them, like I had my stack of the people that I still bought that week that I hadn't got a hold of. So if I was to get no-showed, I already had like good producing activities to do. Like I was ready to go regardless for a no-show. So I didn't really have time to get emotional when nobody was home, because I was like, okay, this is just now more dialing time to get through the people that I haven't got a hold of. So I had to completely change that when I didn't. And that's when everything completely changed. And then it's crazy how like you start thinking differently. Family would invite me over like on Saturday. It's like, hey, we're doing this thing. And I'm like, okay, well, I have to run 8 appointments. Like I have appointments. Like if I can make it, great. And if not, like maybe I'll see you Sunday. And that was one thing. Me and Josh would work Sunday if we didn't hit our number, like our minimum AP that we had to have. And for us, each it was 10,000. It was like, we need to protect 10,000 for the week because I have to buy leads again and I have to have them fresh by Monday. So regardless if I sell or not, I have to buy leads. So that for me was like, if you get Sunday off, you better make sure you hit your numbers, by working Friday and Saturday. If not, I was working Sunday to hit my number. And that was one thing that we were okay with because we knew that we were going to have to get unbalanced for a couple years to be able to have the things that we would wanted. Like we were so good at like organizing like our goals and what we wanted. So it was like whenever it would get hard, it's like we remembered like this is why we're doing that. This is why we're working so hard. This is why our schedule looks the way it is. We are a little chaotic, but it won't always be, right? You're just kind of you're preparing, like we're building our foundation. And then another thing that I think was really, really helpful is we had separate bank accounts for the business. So all of our deposits would go into one bank account. And with that, the bank account then would pay Alondra. So it wasn't like it was all my money because we start making money very quickly. And it's very easy to be like, I don't want to get rid of it. Like, this is all money. Like, I've never had $10,000 saved up. I can't go less than 10,000. That was my mindset. So we had to go get a separate bank account to have all of our deposits go into one because then buying leads I was so unemotional about it. Like anytime I would get called, hey, like there's a new lead. I had money in the house to pay for leads. It wasn't Alondra paying for the leads. Then the house would pay Alondra her bare minimum just to cover bills. And that was it. And then the rest was just like, it was the house's money. And like, we lived with that like fear of like, this can all disappear tomorrow. And I could get chargebacks. I could go, like, I always like thought the worst. I was very precautious, which helped me make the decisions that I made. I never went, and as soon as I started money, like I did what everybody does and goes to Disneyland and has a lucrative, crazy vacation or starts paying off debt. No, I acted like this money can disappear tomorrow until I pay taxes on it. That is not mine. I am only covering just enough to cover barely enough my bills that I had when I started, and also just to make sure that I have enough for leads. It's the house's card. And that made it so easy for us to be able to stay disciplined, buying leads every single week and just kind of keeping that same consistency and momentum. Because I know as a new agent, if you're never have done anything like this, it is very easy. It's very easy to get stuck in that. Like, I don't want to spend any money. I don't have money, but it's like you do. It's just not your money. So those are kind of the two things that I would say.
I love that. And that's huge because I love how you started with like self-reflection, right? Like that whole time, it wasn't like, oh, and it was this person's fault. And then so-and-so led me in the wrong direction. So you're saying, hey, there were some pitfalls that I hit, Josh hit. They looked a little bit different, but you guys seem like you were always positive for one another in a way that you could lift each other up and be like, hey, things could be way worse. Like we could be doing plan B. And I think that that's really important, guys. If you're on here, I always say like, I don't have a plan B. It's like, I really don't, but that would be like, maybe like going back to bartending, which like Alondra, like, I don't want to go do that. So it's like, that's what I think about when I don't want to call an appointment, when I don't want to dial, when I don't want to buy leads. So I think all these things are so important. And how you said, like, when I first got started, I would go to the gym, like on my own time. I'd wake up at, 10 and be like, oh, I'll just hit the phones at 1 and like do my thing, and didn't really pan out. So you had to self-reflect on your schedule. Like, hey, I'm doing everything here, but I'm not working when I'm working, right? And like, guys, if you're not working when you're working, it's as simple as being honest with yourself. Like, that's what I just heard the whole time Alondra went through. That was like, I was honest with myself enough to know what this actually looked like versus like what it might feel like in the moment, right? So like no white space on your calendar. Guys, I can promise you, if you had a schedule, that's full, it has 20 appointments on it. And if they don't show up, you have a backup plan of, I'm going to call my no-shows from the day before. Like a busy mind doesn't get fed negativity. Like it just doesn't. It's really hard to be busy and negative at the same time. So guys, make sure you don't have that white space. That white space is like the death. And anytime I have white space, Alondra, I'm like, I better start doing something productive, or I'm going to start, going down a negative path no one needs to go down, right? And always staying on that what's next, like what's next. I think that that's really important. And you also talked about that healthy paranoia of this can all be taken away tomorrow. So, like, let's appreciate it today. Guys, I don't know that the insurance industry is going anywhere. I don't know that I'm going anywhere. I don't know that anybody on this call is going anywhere. But what I do know is when you can work from a place of like, this is amazing. This is what I've been praying for. This is what I'm working for. This is how I'm hitting my goals and feeling better as I'm hitting them because I'm going through some challenges and adversities, but this is what I'm getting in the end. Another huge thing that you pointed out, Alondra, that I think a lot of us don't do, and it's simply because we can be like, oh, no one ever taught me that, or like, I don't know, like it's not in the getting started, right? But you talked about the separate bank account, right? It's the house's money. When you can pay yourself, like Alondra was saying, Alondra gets paid X amount of dollars a week, Josh got paid X amount of dollars a week, and the business held the money. At that point, when you're buying leads, Alondra's not taking it out of her personal account. She's running the business card and she's like, oh, the business bought leads. Oh, there's this new recruiting system that I feel really good about and I want to get into. Oh, great. The business is going to take care of that. Oh, there's this new way to help agents get started. There's this new CRM. There's this new leads. Oh, the business is going to pay for that. Not, oh, I have to take it out of Alondra's bank account, right? That perspective and that shift in mindset is huge. And quite frankly, I think it can take somebody out of a business really quickly if we're looking at it like it's all our money, right? So you hit on so many huge things there and you answered a lot of the questions that I had in that, which I appreciate you. Now, what's a moment that maybe you can pinpoint, Alondra, because you guys had amazing growth throughout the years. After that, it seems like you hit the ground running personally. You hit the ground running as a team, to say the absolute least, all the way up to integrity partner, and you guys are still going. So talk to us a little bit about maybe a moment that you saw like a catalyst of growth that really helped you, or something of that sort that really helped you and your team.
Honestly, it sounds really cliche, but me selling is what helped me build an agency. I had money to show. I was confident and it was like inevitable. Like I was just like, oh my God, I cannot believe like this just happened. Everybody needs to know about it because I'm not anything special. I literally just followed the formula. I did A plus B and then I got my C. So it was so easy for me to just now go on social media and actually recruit. And I think that's what kind of blew up our entire agency is the fact that we had money to show. I mean, at the time we were pretty obnoxious with it back then before all these regulations. So everybody was like posting like how much they would make. I'd post my selfies with my clients. I'd take pictures with all my clients and I'd post them up. And then I'd just be like, I just helped Sandy for 45 minutes. We were able to protect her home and I made X amount. Like I was so kind of obnoxious about it. Every time I was in the office, I was just posting everything that I was doing because I wanted everybody to realize like, I'm nobody special. You can do this if you work hard. And that's kind of like what happened. We had a lot of people on social media that would reach out, people that knew us from our other companies. They had been watching us for a while and they were like, okay, we know them. We know they didn't do anything. Like if like you guys can truly show us like, that you got paid that in your bank account, like we'll all come and we'll all build it with you. And that's kind of what happened. So that kind of like, it was so crazy kind of the way it happened, but it all happened so quick. But it wouldn't have happened if I would have not been selling because it was so easy to not sell a dream, but it's like, look what I'm doing. It wasn't like, look what so-and-so's doing. Look what so-and-so is doing. It was my warm market, the people that knew me. And it's like, okay, what are you doing now? Because I know you and I know like this is just crazy what you're doing. You're traveling, you're going all over the place. Like, tell me more about it. And that's kind of like the biggest thing that got us. And like I tell everybody now, like if you're not sharing what you're doing on social media, you're hurting yourself, you're being selfish. And I'm a firm believer of that because especially now, life is so expensive. Like I think about it and I'm like, if I was on a nursing salary, like how do people pay for these things? Like, this is why you don't even realize a lot of people like, and you'll see like, there's a lot of network marketers that'll be like, oh, come join me, sell shampoos, do this. You look at their compensation plan and I'm like, you're doing this much work to get paid this much pennies. Like you need to start doing insurance. Like you have no idea how good it is. But I feel like sometimes like we need that reminder. And like, even I've been guilty of it. Like when we've been going out and we were serving, there was a time that we kind of were like, we were like, good. We didn't really tell our people in our outside. Like we were just comfortable telling on social media, but then we weren't telling like our Uber drivers, our servers. And it was like, we were like one day sitting there like, why are we not recruiting? Like they would be so good with insurance. So instead of just like us talking about it, like we were actually then recruiting our servers, telling the people that were on us, because you have no idea how many people are looking for a second opportunity. And this is literally a proven system. It's not a scam. It's a state license that someone has to get, they have to study for. It's no different than real estate. The biggest difference is you get paid way more, way faster and way more because there's a lot more people that are in your market for it. With real estate, you're kind of like, you can kind of just help that one person and there's so many things that they have to do to get a house and there's so much process. Where this, it's super easy. Everybody needs it. Everybody knows, whether they're little to all the way of all ages, you're able to help somebody. And that's where I think sometimes we forget about the need and like how important it is of what we do. And then I think it kind of like makes it very real once you start having death claims. Like once you start having people really pass away, and like it really, like that's when it really just like, I always knew what we did was important, but once you start doing that, it's like, wow, like thank goodness that I didn't just stop at like, oh, I hit my number, like that's it, I'm gonna take the whole rest of the week off. Like thank God I kept working through all my leads to try to get through everybody, because that was always my mindset. It was never hit my number and be done with the leads. I always saw the lead as like, that is somebody that needs me, that I need to get them on the phone to protect their family. Because if not, what if, like, this is how I was subconsciously just like trick myself into keep working. And I'm like, everybody needs my help. Like I need to try to at least make an effort to that. I tried and I called them and I tried to get them on the phone to get them protected. I acted as if everybody needed this. They were all going to die tomorrow if I didn't help them. That helped me have the urgency to try to get through all my leads as quick as I can. And I think that part is like what made me very unemotional about the money and everything, because it was never like that for me. It was always like, okay, I'm no matter what, I'm buying leads. Like this is automatic every two times a week. So that's not going to stop. So I need to get through every single one of these people because there's all these people that are needing my help. And when I did it like that, it would help my nerves when I was going to call. It would help me not procrastinate. It was just like, it was a compound effect that in the end, obviously paid off when I would look and at the end of the month, oh my gosh, I helped this many families because of that.
Absolutely. And that was an awesome answer because you went all the way from selling and why that's important to why recruiting is important and essentially not looking at this in a selfish way, right? I love how you said in the beginning, you're like, I sold at a really high clip and I'm not special. Like you've said that several times on this call, like I'm not special. So it's like, guys, for anyone that's on here and is like, well, Alondra is just special. Like she's openly telling you she's not special, right? And I think that's important because when you can build that confidence of like, hey, when somebody can just work really hard in this business, they can focus on it. This is what they want to do and they want to help people. Like they're probably going to yield that result, right? And when you're confidently delivering a message, like before when we were in home, which was, you know, a little bit different, but guys, it's the same thing. We're just moving it to the phone, right? You were able to maybe take that physical picture, right? Now we're able to take the picture of the approval screen and be like, just help John, you know, and in 45 minutes. And you know, it's like, but we can't lose sight of helping John, right? Like in the home, like I'm with John and Mary, you know what I mean? It's like, guys, on the phone, you still need to be with John and Mary, like physically. And I love how you brought up social media, right? Like, it's like, guys, a lot of you guys on here, you got recruited from social media. You've been recruited somewhere from social media. Like you've looked for a job on social media. I always say like your Instagram, your Facebook, like it's like your modern day resume. If somebody wants to know something about you, they're going to look you up on Facebook or on Instagram. So if you want to have a message going out there that's positive, Alondra, what I keep hearing from you is like, we need to take this as serious as it is, meaning if somebody filled a form out requesting help for insurance, I need to talk to them. If I bought that lead, it's my responsibility to get myself in front of that person, to call that person 3 times back to back every time I'm dialing, to make sure I can get in touch with them, because you took it as serious as I'm helping people. And like you said, those death claims, like that is when things will set into you and you'll be like, this is real. Like quick story, my first month in the insurance industry, I didn't help anybody. My second month, I helped like 4 people. One of the women was really young. She was like a 30-year-old mom of 4, and she passed on in an accident like 2 months after. It freaked me out, but I was really happy that her children had like $1 million of coverage because how she passed. Guys, there's so many different stories out there, and you never want to be that person that calls a lead and the person answers and you're like, hey, John. And they're like, who's this? And you're like, it's Marisa getting back to you about that form. And they're like, John's not here anymore. Like, that's not a good feeling because it makes you feel like you didn't get to them in time, right? So guys, when you're buying your leads, take it as serious as act as if, what if they die tomorrow? Because we really don't know, guys. We really don't know. And I think in essence, Alondra, what you kind of wrapped up there was like, if people need help on the insurance side, and right now with the economy, like everything's expensive. Like we have funds and I'm like, this is expensive. So I can imagine what it would have looked like if I was not in this industry, right? So it's like, stop being selfish and share the opportunity. Life is really expensive. And guys, I don't see it going down. I just personally don't. I hope it does, but it's probably not gonna. So help people, and you never know what position your friends, your family, your Facebook community, your Instagram friends, the people who are watching your story, you don't know the position that they're in. You might think they're in an amazing position, but they might be really needing an opportunity. So guys, don't be selfish. And that's kind of really what I heard from you there, Alondra, is share the opportunity confidently. And when you're selling at a high clip, you can be like, here's my bank account, here's my bank statements. Yes, I got paid that. Hey, like it's not a secret, right? Like, I'll show anyone my bank statements. So will Alondra, because we got nothing to lie about. So I love that. And guys, if you can take that and just equate it into, Alondra was not always who she is today. She had to build that up to that person. And you can do that too. Anyone on this call can do it. Last couple questions for you, Alondra. What is like, so right now, when your current stance in your business, are you guys like in an office? Are you working from home? A little bit of both? And what does your staff structure look like?
Right now, we are all just remote. We had an office and then we recently got rid of it. Or we moved into another thing, but it's just me, Josh, and then we have an administrator. So she does all the back end and helping with agents getting contracted and recruiting interviews. And all of us, me and Josh, is just like helping our new agents get started, helping them onboard, and basically all the selling. That's basically where all of our focus is just get them to sell, see where they're at, and help figure out lead strategies so we can get them going. And our goal is to get them paid in their first 30 days while they're with us. So that is where our focus is.
Perfect. So you guys are all virtual. You have an administrative assistant that, works in the office and kind of takes care of what I'm hearing, like the back end stuff, so to say, that you could do, but it just makes more sense to delegate because you're better at helping agents make sales, helping agents get started, etc. So again, guys, sometimes we're trading. That's another example of trading time for money, right? Alondra, like, if not, that's 40 hours a week that you and Josh probably don't have to put into administrative tasks. So as it pertains to your team culture, we'll go, Heather, that is a good question here. How is your culture with kind of that no office feel? Does it feel different? What does that look like for you guys?
I think it's like the same. Well, the thing is, we had an office for a very, very long time, and we've all, like, our team's been together for a long time. So, I mean, it is no different now for us, just because we did have the in-person vibe, and we've gotten to know each other. I mean, the biggest thing is, like, this is why it's so important to go to lock-ins, go to convention. Like, we emphasize that on a really, really big thing for our teams, because that's where you build relationships, you meet people. And I've always shared, like, my personal experience. It didn't change for me until I went to these conventions and I started building friendships and relationships with people from other different teams all over that were having success. And that's where some of my closest friendships now to this day are because of that. I would talk to people that were selling a high level, and all of our conversations, like, while we were in the field, in between our appointments, it was like, hey, what are you at for the day? What are you doing differently? How much are you selling? It was just this constant, like, getting better. And it was not like, I mean, at first I was always talking to everybody and everything. And I think that's why I was so confused for the first 9 months. It was like, I wanted to talk to everybody, and not everybody sells, and not everybody doesn't sell, and they have fantastic opinions to give to everybody. So as it was very ironic that the people that weren't selling or had a high level were the ones that were saying, those leads don't suck, those leads suck, those leads suck, nobody's going to answer, you're going to get a lot of no-shows, blah, 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 blah. I didn't know any better, and I would believe it because I was like, oh, well, if it doesn't work for them, it must not work for me. So I stopped doing that. I cut those relationships, and I literally would only talk to people that were out selling at a high clip. And then from there, if they weren't on live dials, that's like, unfortunately, like that's where I learned how to dial. That's the relationships that I build. Like, and I talk about it from the beginning. I've always, I was on a Zoom call, and I would always get so scared to like dial. I don't know why I would get nervous. It was very weird, but at first I would get very nervous to call on the phone. And when I was on these live dials, I heard somebody calling in third person. And that completely changed the entire business for me, because I'm like, oh my God, I don't have to call as me. Like, I don't have to give explanations. I can call as somebody else. I can act like somebody's assistant. I can act like a dialer to book appointments. And I wouldn't have got that if I wasn't on every single day on these live dials. So like, even though like when we first got started, we didn't have an office at the time when I first got started, I was not plugged into any live dials. Once I was full-time and I was committed, I made the effort to make sure that I never missed either going to a nearby office, or I was on Zoom doing my appointments. If it was like a dial day and I was going out and I wasn't selling over the phone, I was on live dials with everybody. I wanted to see everybody. I needed that accountability for myself, and I would unmute, because that's when I was like, I'm only going to get better if other people are kind of listening to me. It's going to force me to not just give up the phone. It's going to actually force me to give objections to get to the appointment or be able to help them. And I learned like everything to this business is just by my relationships that I've built with everybody around. So like, that is like my biggest advice that I can give you, is like, just surround yourself with people that are like headed to the same direction and that you vibe with. Because really, like for me, that was like the biggest thing. If you were negative, I love you, but I don't need to talk to you. And I wouldn't answer their phone. Like I'd have agents, and that was kind of like the dynamic that we build with agents. If I had just an agent that would call me and complain, are you in a home? No? Okay. I'm busy. Like I was so busy that I didn't have time to have those conversations. But my agents knew to not call me to complain about leads, because I was working the same leads and working the same appointments, and that it just wasn't going to work with me. I wasn't going to fall for the leads don't work, because I was doing it. I was doing it. And it's just so much easier when you're able to relate like that.
Absolutely. You just hit on so much. And I think that that's huge, because like, guys, if you're not plugging into virtual office right now, you need to be plugging into it. Just doesn't make sense. Don't be dialing alone. It's not good for anybody. And I love how you mentioned lock-ins, offices close by, conventions, any of those events. You never miss them, because that's where you meet people and those friendships actually start to unfold. And I can say the same for myself as well, Alondra. So I love how you hit on good friendships, so to say, within the business, but also like, hey, like we got to stay from like away from those negative Nancy's, so to say, that just are like doing the same thing every day, probably not working, and then want to talk about how ABC lead is the worst lead in America and we're all working it. So guys, people can warp your brain. Make sure the person that you're talking to, that they have a good track record and they're able to elicit advice, right? So Alondra, I love how you brought that up. And now last question, which you really already kind of hit on, but I was going to ask you, will you and your team be going to convention, which I already knew the answer was going to be yes. But why is that so important to you? And what has it provided for you in the past that you would advise, like, hey, like everybody should be there?
Well, truthfully, I mean, I own all my success, thank goodness, to convention. That's where it opened my eyes to see, wow, like this is a lot bigger than I thought. Like everybody's winning. It's not just the top people that I was used to seeing. It's like everybody's making money. I mean, and the biggest thing is like the first time I went, I did not stay for the award ceremony, and I regretted it so much when I'm social media and I'm seeing everything. So then the next time I went and I said, okay, I'm definitely staying for an award ceremony, even though I'm not getting an award. That award ceremony completely changed it for me, because I was like, there is no way. At the time she must have been what, in her 60s. There was an older woman, And you know who I'm talking about. She was going through and getting her Hall of Fame. And I said, if she can write 400 grand in a year, I know I can do it. Like you are not anything any more special than I am. So really like that lit for me, like what I needed to like, you can also do this. Like anybody can do this. Like she's just outworking me. Like that was like the reality check that I needed. On top of the training, I remember I learned so much. It's so different than what I was used to. I was used to going to conventions that everybody just talked about how much money they made, but nobody really like taught you how to do it. Like, okay, yeah, I get it. Great for you. What are you doing? Like, walk me through that. And that's what I love about our conventions is like the training that you're going to get is so raw. It's from people that are doing it right now. So they're going to share everything that is working for them, how they run their business, how they're structured, like every question that you could possibly have in this business. I feel like that's what they go over. So that's why I tell people like it's so important to go and be intentional and take notes and really like soak it in. Like I would even like record on my phone. I'd have it while I was taking notes to make sure that I didn't miss anything, because it's just so good what you learn. And like you come back and you're like, okay, like I'm ready to rock. Like I'm ready to set the tone for the year. What are my goals down? Like that I feel like is when it really kind of like, it's kind of like the start for everybody. Like January, if you slacked off, like whatever, it was like your bonus month. Coming home from convention, I feel like that's when it completely changed. That's when I decided to go Hall of Fame that year, and everything just completely changed because I was like, it's just mental. It's just mental. I learned everything. I got everything from all the people that are reeling at a high clip. And not even that. I mean, this is where you make your friendships with people. You make your running mates. You meet your people that it's like, hey, let's jump on live dials together and we can make all of our appointments. Like back at home, like we start off like, and that's just how you help better yourself in this business, because it is a very lonely business. Like it is good, but it is very lonely. So the more you can get around like-minded people with the same goals as you, it makes it a little bit easier. And the biggest thing that I want to like leave with everyone is enjoy the journey. Because I remember I kind of like what I thought, like me and Josh we have many goals in this business with everything. And I was always like, once we get to this goal, like you're gonna be super happy. Like once you write 50,000, you're gonna be super happy. Like all these little things that we would have. And really, like it's taken all these years. A couple of years back, we kind of realized it's like it wasn't the just destination, it was the journey. And it was like enjoying it, like enjoying the process. It's not just, you can think, and if you haven't done it, I'm like, you think that making this much money is going to help fulfill you. It doesn't. Like it's not. The goals, like it's cool, and then it's like, okay, it happens, and then what? And then it's like you don't have another goal. Like it's really hard. Again, the part of the mental game. So the biggest thing that I tell everyone is everybody like have fun with it, get enjoyment out of this. I really hope you enjoy helping people. I love this. This just makes my day. Talking to clients all day long is like, it completely can change my entire day positively, because I'm like, I'm doing something good. This fills my cup every day, talking to people, not getting paid. That is the byproduct of it. So I always just like to tell everyone to be the reminder. You lead with your heart, enjoy the journey, and you will be compensated tenfold. You will have good karma. Whatever you believe in will come back tenfold. And I'm a firm believer of that. So definitely make sure that you guys go get around the people that you want, build relationships with people, ask how much do you write? Build the relationships with people to make sure that are going to help you have the year that you want to have. If you've been here for a while, you haven't done what you want, don't have it be another mediocre year. Like have this be the year that you set the tone by going to convention, being intentional with your goals, and coming back and implementing to literally change the year that you've had, especially here.
I love that, Alondra. And that's like mic drop right there. Guys, if you're not going, hopefully you just registered right now, because Alondra just gave like literally like her whole like business to, hey, I got to convention, I got around the right people, and that's how my fire was set, talked to the right people, dealt with the right people, and now I am around like-minded people. And like you said, I love how you said enjoy the journey. That's huge, because like you said, the destination isn't always going to feel as great as the journey.